Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Hey, shout out to all of my people on Instagram that have recently followed to catch a little bit of the show. You can always go to YouTube, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Shout out to all of the people who watch on Facebook, but you can always go to the YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe over there. Always to the Twitter gang or the X gang or whatever you want to call it. Appreciate you being here. To my Twitch fam, appreciate you as always. It's interesting in the NFL or in sports. There's a lot of people that's big mad, and I think that some people are more have a better reason to be mad than others. I think a lot of these NFL players that are not quarterbacks have all the reason in the world to be big mad right now. Big mad. The NFL has done a fantastic job of brainwashing fans into not caring about the players, into only really and truly caring about the team. Like Tom Brady's the GOAT until he leaves New England, and then people try to convince themselves it was Bill Belichick that was the reason that the Patriots made that type of run, when in fact it wasn't Bill Belichick alone, and it wasn't Tom Brady alone. It was the entire soup, everything, right? And so we have NFL fans who have deluded themselves into believing that anything that's good can just be replaced by going in the draft and grabbing another one. And we see it, and we've seen it. We've seen teams who have made moves to get rid of not just good players, but great players because they don't want to pay them premium money. Meanwhile, they will pay mediocre to decent quarterbacks fantastic money. This is a model that the NFL set up that the fans fell for hook, line, and sinker. Why? Because the NFL has always promoted their team concept and their quarterbacks. Now, here's how it's going to eventually backfire on the NFL. Because eventually one of these teams are going to zig where others zag at, right? If you allow these players that are big time, that are elite, if you allow them the opportunity to call their own shot, to pick where they're going to eventually, right, not just all chase the money, because they're understanding how to maximize their money off the field now. No longer are these defensive backs and linebackers and wide receivers and running backs nowadays they're not faceless, right? They have faces, they have personalities, they have names, they have organizations, and therefore they have profile. They have profile that's marketable, they have profile that's bankable, and so they can be willing to miss, right? They can be willing to miss out on the windfall from the NFL contract, which is not a lot of money if you compare it to other leagues. They can be willing to miss out on that windfall of money to sign a good deal with a really good team. And now what happens because of that is what we've seen in the past, but we've seen it kind of to a lesser extent. The New England Patriots used to feast off of really good veteran talent, looking for a place to land to hopefully show what they can do, win a championship, and then possibly cash out somewhere else one more time. And if you look throughout the history of the New England Patriots, their team is not littered with homegrown talent. Their team is littered with bounce back free agents and or strategic trades for little to no money. Outside of the quarterback, everybody else was a come and goer. You know, a quarterback, a special teamer here, like all of the greatest Patriots, all of the Patriots who've had some of the greatest seasons, they've done so as free agents and or trades to the Patriots. They have not done so as Patriots draft picks, because the Patriots for the longest time mastered how to get those players to come to them and be successful. So if you look at what a lot of these players are going to do, if I am Simmons from Denver, why would Justin Simmons, and shout out to Justin Simmons, fantastic, one of the best safeties in the league. He should never be available in free agency, and yet he's available in free agency. Why? Because Denver wanted to cut a quarterback that played well for them last year because they don't like him, because their coach doesn't like him. Their coach who took the job knowing that he was there, tell me if you've heard this before, took the job knowing that he was there, sold everybody that he could right the ship, and then wanted them out of town. And so now they have to take such a massive hit financially that they have to get rid of some big name, big money people. Justin Simmons is on the market. Why in the hell would Justin Simmons ever go to another situation like Denver? Why would he go to another team that isn't a safety away from making a championship run, when the differences in money from that championship team or that championship caliber team to the team that he would be able to get the most money from is only a few $1 million. He has already made enough money, and he has set himself up most likely financially to make money for the rest of his life, to have his money make money. But him winning a championship puts him into a different specter when it comes to view, right? And these players are going to figure this out. They've been figuring it out. And you're going to see the elite level players start taking less money to go to better situations. Imagine if Justin Simmons thinks that all the 49ers needs is an upgraded safety. Imagine what Justin Simmons does if he says, yo, Philadelphia, that back end was bad last year. I can be the missing link. Goes to the teams that are right there at the cusp of making a championship run. And now he gets his profile raised because now he gets to play. Now he gets to play in a situation where he is on the big screen, on the big stage. You think Saquon Barkley is going to leave the Giants to go to another bad franchise so that he can run against 8 and 9 man boxes? Saquon Barkley's not going to another poorly ran franchise, another franchise with a fan base that blames him and only him for its demise, that regrets drafting him, even though in his rookie year he had one of the greatest rookie seasons in the history of football. Even though when healthy, he's been one of the best backs in football. All of the passes that they give Daniel Jones for his play, they don't afford the same luxury to Saquon Barkley. You think that he's going to go and sign up to do that in another place that's poorly run, that doesn't have a chance of winning a championship? No. He's going to end up in a place where with a team that perennially goes to the playoffs, a team that believes they are one dynamic running back away from a championship. And you want to know what the Giants' response to this is, what the Giants fans' response to this is? Oh, well, yeah, Saquon Barkley should go and try to make more money But I'm not going to be sad to see him go. The truth is you can't pay a 27-year-old running back. Well, the NFL, what they tried to do, it worked. They convinced you. They convinced you that there's no value in paying these players because of their age. Meanwhile, if you look at the all-time greats at running back, they were all still doing it at a pretty high level, 27 to 30 to 31 in some cases, 32. At every other position, 27 isn't old. 27 is prime. In every other sport, 27 is prime. But at running back, it's old? Or is it a situation where they're like, we got to stop paying all of them? And since we're paying quarterbacks, 40, 45 million, 50 million a year. We're paying wide receivers 20, 25, 30 a year. We can't pay running backs 30 a year as well. And we have to pay offensive tackles, and we have to pay guards, and we have to pay. So now you have a situation where Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry, but more Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs because they're both in their mid-20s, have to go and find other homes because the teams that they have bled for, that they have been broken for, don't want to pay them what they're worth. These teams know what they're worth and still don't want to pay him. And they're doing it because that's the modus operatus in the NFL. Don't pay these running backs Ezekiel Elliott money. Don't pay these running backs because it's not worth it. Somebody asked the Cowboys if it was worth it. Because Ezekiel Elliott's last year with the Cowboys in their running game versus Pollard as the focal back of the Cowboys in their running game. They were already paying Zeke. They paid money for him to no longer be with them, and their running game got infinitely worse because of it. It's not a coincidence. And now what's the Cowboys' thoughts? Oh, they need a running back. Come on, people. These running backs, if they're smart, you think Derrick Henry's signing up to go to some trash organization? No. Imagine, right? Baltimore is sitting back with a little bit of wiggle room, and now they have their choice, right? Because they're going to be a player in this. Now they have their choice to call Derrick Henry, the 6'3", 6'4", 250-pound monster who has terrorized NFL defenses for the past 8 years. Saquon Barkley, the explosive and shifty running back who can gut you on the ground, but also can be a weapon as a pass receiver. They have Josh Jacobs, the quintessential blue-collar workhorse running back that they can run at you. And now you're going to put that offense with that quarterback and that offensive line and that mindset. You're going to give them one of the 3 best running backs in the league. Why? Because the value is down on them. Because their value is down? It makes zero to no sense. That's how the 49ers end up with a Christian McCaffrey. Right? But the NFL has done its job, and it'll eventually backfire. You know why? Because the quarterback position doesn't look like the quarterback position used to look. And so now you have to pay everybody at quarterback. And because you have to pay everybody at quarterback, i.e. Buffalo Bills, you can't pay everyone else. And because your quarterback is making $1 billion and your wide receiver is making $1 billion, you don't have any money for anyone else because you have a salary cap. And now the Bills, who can't get over the hump because their quarterback is limited when they need him not to be limited the most. Now they can't get over the hump, but they're paying him like he's Patrick Mahomes. They're paying him like he's Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes. And so you got to put weapons around him. You can't give him a Rashee Rice as a wide receiver one and expect him to get it done. You can't give him an Isaiah Pacheco at running back and expect him to get it done. Right? What's going to happen in Cincinnati once Joe Burrow's deal kicks in? And now all of a sudden you have to pay him that big time money while also trying to keep all your stars. Guess what? It's not going to happen. You can't have 3 elite level wide receivers on your team and a great running back and pay all of them. You got to also pay an offensive tackle somewhere. So people are a bit mad out here. They don't understand that the NFL has done this to us and that many of you out here have fallen for the bait. Pay all the quarterbacks all the money because you have to. Says who? Says who? I can argue you should only be paying 5 quarterbacks in this league right now. I could argue that there are only 5 quarterbacks in this league that deserve elite level money. And people are out here arguing for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins does not make you a better team. Kirk Cousins, just if you were mediocre before, you're going to be mediocre with him. He is not elevating a team. He has never elevated a team. Not once. Washington was a playoff team with RG3. How did he elevate them? They were a playoff team with Robert Griffin. They were a playoff caliber team with Alex Smith. So if Robert Griffin had the team as a playoff caliber team and Alex Smith had the team as a playoff caliber team, then what did Kirk Cousins do? Minnesota was a playoff caliber team before Kirk Cousins got there. They were a playoff caliber team with Teddy Bridgewater. They were a playoff caliber team with Sam Bradford. How did he elevate Minnesota? Did they win an NFC title? They didn't win an NFC title. Did they win a Super Bowl? No, but they paid him a boatload of money to make them what they would have been with a quarterback on a rookie contract that was taken in the 3rd round. So all of these things, all of these different ways that you use to get the job done, at the end of the day, if your quarterback isn't elevating you to Super Bowl status, then what are we doing? It is up to us as people in the game to tell you the truth. It's up to you to listen. Y'all have been devaluing running backs forever and steadily allowing these quarterbacks to be paid money that they don't deserve. I'm fine with it. I'm not mad at the running backs. I'm not mad at the quarterbacks. Get all the money you can. But boy, y'all are sure ready to throw these running backs out on the trash heap. When I looked around the NFL last year, I did not see a whole bunch of elite level runners. I did not see a bunch of guys in the league that I went, oh my gosh, he's the next one. Oh my gosh, he's really, really good. Remember, Dameon Pierce was supposed to be good. Remember, Houston got a bargain with Dameon Pierce, getting Dameon Pierce as a what was it, a 3rd rounder or whatever it was? I don't even remember. People were like, oh my gosh, Houston got a steal. Dameon Pierce. We're 2 years into the Dameon Pierce experience, and you know what we saw? We saw Devin Singletary running all over the place. That is not the poster child for not investing in a running back. That is the poster child for why you invest in elite level running backs. Because what did Jahmyr Gibbs do last year? Only one of the most explosive running backs in the league. Everybody fretted and shuddered when Emory Hunt, a football game plan, told y'all Jahmyr Gibbs was here. When I came out with my list and I said Jahmyr Gibbs was the elite, people laughed. Then during the year when Jahmyr Gibbs was struggling to get carries because they were giving him to a running back that's a 3 yards in a cloud of dust running back, everybody was like, yeah, see, that's why you don't take running backs in the first round. Until they started giving the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. Y'all gonna be big mad because your teams paying these quarterbacks that are mediocre are going to cost you the ability to bring in and or re-sign elite level quality talent that your team drafted and developed. Saquon Barkley gone from the Giants, most likely. Xavier McKinney gone from the Giants, most likely. If you won't sign your top level draft pick and you won't sign the value that you were able to find in the second round, then who are you going to re-sign? Daniel Jones? This isn't a diss on Daniel Jones, and I've been fair to Daniel Jones. I think that if they want to continue to go with Daniel Jones, cool, that's great. Go ahead and re-up Tyrod, so if he gets hurt, you have a legitimate starter to come in and back him up. But what are we talking about here? You're getting rid of two elite level talents, or you're allowing two elite level talents to see what it's like on organizations that win, to see if these winning organizations want them. And you're doing that because you don't want to pay Saquon $12 million a year when you're out there paying your quarterback $40 million a year. You're going to be a bit mad. I'm a bit mad about a couple things. The first thing I'm a bit mad about is I don't want to hear another person tell me that Russell Wilson is somehow now messing up his Hall of Fame career because of the last 2 years in Denver. First off, let's remember this. This past season was not a bad season for Russell Wilson. This past season was not an elite level season for Russell Wilson, but it wasn't a bad season. Right? But let's just look at some of the careers of the Hall of Famers that you guys are talking about. And I won't even talk about Terry Bradshaw, who has one of the worst resumes I've ever seen if you take championships out of the equation. I'm not going to talk about Eli Manning, who y'all are ready to throw into the Hall of Fame like this, even though he has several of the worst interception seasons in the history of the game and has never really thrown a ton of touchdowns. I'm not even talking about guys like John Elway, who took several years to get it right. I'm going to just tell you about somebody that we hear from all the time, somebody that we talk about as if he's one of the GOATs because he's in the Hall of Fame, and I don't necessarily believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's gone to talking about and evaluating players, and now because he was there, we're supposed to listen. I'm going to give you Kurt Warner, right? Because of these 2 years that Russell Wilson has had that has been bad, according to you guys, is enough to take away his Hall of Fame status. I'm going to present to you Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner, his first year in the league for St. Louis, 1998, he was a backup. 1999, he took the starting job and had his best year of his career. His second year in the league, he had his best year of his career, threw 41 touchdowns, still had 13 interceptions, by the way. The next year, 21-18. The year after, right? The year after his MVP season, he had a terrible season. 21 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Nobody talks about it. The next year, he won the MVP again. But that year, he threw 36 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. He won an MVP. He won an MVP with 22 interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, that is unheard of today. Right? And don't give me the, oh, well, it was a different time. They were playing a different game. No. St. Louis, under Mike Martz as coordinator and then head coach, St. Louis was playing a game that was modernized. They were playing the game that you see out there today. Throwing the ball all over the place. He threw the ball 546 times. That is a lot of attempts in today's NFL. The next year after that 36 and 22 season, he got hurt, right? He got hurt. Only started 6 games. He threw 3 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So if you're playing at home in his 4 years, his first 4 years as a starter, he's having injury issues, right? He has injury issues. He throws in those first 4 years, over 60 interceptions. I'm not even talking about fumbles, just talking about interceptions. He throws over 60 interceptions in those first 4 years. The next year, he loses his job in St. Louis. He essentially works as a backup, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Does that sound like a Hall of Fame career to you? Right? The 2 MVPs are what give it to him, but his 2 MVP years aren't even MVP-ish years, except for maybe his first year. Right? Because they're giving him the MVP for team success. But remember the team he had. Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce, Hall of Famer Torrey Holt. He goes to New York City. He's bad in New York City. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, moves out of the way for Eli. He comes back to Arizona as a starter. His first year in Arizona, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. His second year in Arizona, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then his final 3 years in Arizona, 27 and 17, 30 and 14, 26 and 14. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the type of stats that got Jameis Winston ran out of town in Tampa Bay. And yet he's a Hall of Famer. So you're telling me that Russell Wilson has 2 subpar seasons after what everybody is willing to admit is a Hall of Fame career with Seattle. After what everybody's willing to admit that in his, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons, in his 10 straight seasons with Seattle, where he never threw more than 13 interceptions in a season, right? Where he did not win an MVP for throwing for 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Where he did not win an MVP for throwing for 34 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Where he did not win an MVP for throwing 34 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. I haven't even gone into the Russian numbers. Where he consistently won every single year. 11 wins, 13 wins, 12 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins. His lone losing season with Seattle was his last, where they dealt with injuries and he dealt with injuries. And in that year, that off year for him, he had 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and he only started 14 games. Fast forward to Denver. He has 1 bad season in Denver, 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. The next year in Denver, he threw for 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Please tell me what he's done to mess up his Hall of Fame career. Someone explain to me how you can legitimately say that he has messed up his Hall of Fame career, but Kurt Warner is an undoubted, untouchable Hall of Famer. They both have championships. They've both gone to other championships. Will Russell Wilson get the grace? Will he get the grace that Kurt Warner got? Will he get the opportunity that Kurt Warner received? Kurt Warner was irrelevant, right? Irrelevant. For 5 straight seasons. He was only relevant for 3. Then he was irrelevant for 5 straight seasons before he had 3 more seasons of okay play. And because of that, he's a Hall of Famer. But yet, Russell Wilson, his 10 years, by the way, which is all of the years for Kurt Warner, his 10 of excellent work where he is putting up Aaron Rodgers of stats. Aaron Rodgers type of accuracy isn't enough. Y'all got to stop. I know you have to say things because you're on you're on broadcast and you're doing podcasts. I know you just got to say stuff, right? But let's make it make sense. And this no sense. It makes 0 sense. You know what else? I'm mad about Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons has never loved basketball. I remember when Ben Simmons went to LSU. And I remember me and my brother sitting there and watching him play, going, yo, this dude does not love basketball. Going, this dude, you're not winning games with this dude. If you are supposed to be the remember what happened when Kevin Durant went to Texas? How instantly better Texas was? Remember what happened when Carmelo Anthony went to Syracuse? They won a championship. Like, do you remember what happened when you have elite level high school talent? Remember what Lonzo Ball was like at UCLA? Remember what happened when Paige Beckers showed up at UConn? What happened when Asia Wilson showed up at South Carolina? When you are the unquestioned great as a talent, the team that you join, they immediately get better, especially in college. Ben Simmons took an LSU team and got worse. He took an LSU team in an SEC West that's never been like basketball centric, and the team got worse. Then he went to an organization that favored tanking in order to build a great team. And so he was never forced to play like a winner. So you took a guy who doesn't love the game, allowed him to continue to play like he's not a winner, and you wonder why he's never been able to overcome anything. He can't play through injury. He's got head issues. But as I've stated on many occasions, sports, and particularly professional sports, are not the place that we should be having to deal with your mental health. If you can't handle it mentally, you should not be playing the game, because the talent isn't just physical. the talent should also be mental. If you have the physical talent to play the game, that's one thing. But you also have to have the mental talent to play the game. You have to have the emotional talent to play the game. And if you can't handle it physically, mentally, and emotionally, then you can't play. You can't play. In my mind, Ben Simmons has pulled the biggest fleece in the history of the NFL. Because Ben Simmons has never loved basketball. And I believe that there are a lot of people out there who have superb talent, who have ridiculous amounts of talent, right? I believe that there are players out there who have immense talent who, for one reason or another, have never loved playing basketball. And therefore, they're only playing to get the money. And once they've got the money, there's no incentive for them to ever play. There's no incentive for them to ever play. Need I remind you, Ben Simmons came in as a top overall pick, right? So Ben Simmons got the rookie treatment. 5 years, 6 years, 6 years, 7 years. Then he signed his contract extension. That was his final full year with the 76ers. I think he made $30 million. Barely played. I'm sorry, no. Played. But the issues started. Then the next year, wanted to get out, wanted to force himself out of 76ers, so came up with injuries and then brought mental health into the case where you couldn't mess with him. He has not really played basketball since then. That is now 3 straight years that he has not played basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, they've paid him over $100 million in these 3 years to not play basketball. It is the biggest heist I have ever seen in my life. There will be a 30 for 30 about this one day. There will be a 30 for 30 where they sit back and they go, do you remember the time when everyone compared him to LeBron James and how he was going to be a transformational player? And then they're going to talk about how Ben Simmons never loved basketball. It's going to come out. There's also some other people I don't believe ever loved basketball. They just did it because they were good at it. I'm not going to name them because at least they're still playing. But I don't want to hear this Ben Simmons stuff anymore. I'm big mad at that because there are guys who really love playing who can't play because Ben Simmons is getting $100 million to not play. And every time we try to criticize him about his play, he's able to then lean back on mental health. And then the mental health warriors come out of nowhere. The ones who don't care about him other than when it's an opportunity to get themselves into like the light. They're out there, oh, well, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. Yo, we're critiquing him as a basketball player. You've got all of these unknown, undiagnosed back injuries, undiagnosed this, undiagnosed that. Nothing that we can actually see and go, yo, he hurt himself here. None of Ben Simmons' injuries we can actually point to where he got hurt. We just only have to believe he's hurt. Like this, at this point, the Nets need to find a way not to trade him somewhere else because it's not fair to put him on anybody else. They have to find a way to get him out the league. Go home. Go back to Australia. Find and do something that you love with your generational money. Find happiness with your generational money. Find love with your generational money. Don't find any more basketballs. Or maybe if you go away, you'll find whatever love you used to have for the game. But right now, you don't have it. And we don't have to continue to sit here and act like we believe he's just a little bit of health away from being the Ben Simmons that we know and love. Because we've never been able to know him and we've never been able to love him. He's just another guy who was really talented, who never turned into anything. Cool. I just don't want to hear about, oh, well, he had this going on and he had that going on, and it's such a sad situation. It's not sad at all. The only thing sad about it is that somebody somewhere did not get an opportunity because Ben Simmons did. That's it. The only thing that's sad about it is that somebody else got an opportunity, did not get an opportunity because he did. At LSU and in the league. And that's the sad part. Hey, shout out to everybody out there that wished me a happy birthday on my birthday on March 6th, a couple days ago. Just for the record, I will be celebrating the entire weekend. So, shout out to y'all. I appreciate it. If I didn't get back to you individually, if you said happy birthday, don't worry, I will, because I believe in that. I thank y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Till next time. Peace.